Alright, a little late getting started, but that's alright. So let's get this thing going. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Mouse Madness. I'm your host, Nicholas Heaney, aka Irish Husky. I'm joined once again by some familiar faces and one not so familiar face. So feel free to introduce yourselves.
I'm still Wesley Hunt, Dr. W on most social media.
I am still Carrick and I, Raccoon Bro VA on most social media.
And I'm the newcomer. I am Rafa Molina, and I am Rafmo74 on the Twitters. Very. I just started it out, so.
The wonderful Twitters.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Twitters.
So let's do a quick recap of last week, which, as I mentioned, was not a very strong week in terms of polling. Now, I had postulated that this was because the film selection was not all that accessible. So I figured that with this week, we had a lot more movies that are much better known, whether they be recent releases, old-time classics, or underrated classics. So I expected this week to at least match week 3 in terms of the outcome. And turns out I was right. This was our biggest turnout so far. Even with having the most movies, the average turnout was around 14 votes.
I think what helped is we had at least two solid hits in the running, Aladdin and Zootopia, and then Great Mouse Detective, which was sort of the wild card.
Yeah. And of course you had Tangled, which a lot of people have seen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just
and it's also getting very popular recently thanks to the cartoon show.
That is true.
Is the cartoon show. I've seen that going on left and right. I just never sat down and decided to watch it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I might want to check it out sometime. So yeah, we've had some all-time classics, some underrated classics, and Aristocats.
Yeah.
Oh, the Aristocats.
Recently, and I have quite a bit to say.
We'll get there. Believe me, we will get there.
Oh, Disney, you rascal.
All right. So, let's go over this week's matchups before we get into the discussion. We had our 6-seed Tangled versus the 11-seed Robin Hood. We also had our 3-seed Zootopia against our 14-seed Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
That one's interesting.
Then we had our 7-seed Great Mouse Detective against our 10-seed the Aristocats. And for the first time ever, we have a 2-seed that does not get an automatic bye. That would be Aladdin, facing off against our first 15-seed challenger, Chicken Little.
So it might as well have a bye.
Does it really have an actual match?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the outcome, but yeah. Well, let's start from the top. Tangled versus Robin Hood.
This is an interesting one because Tangled and Robin Hood are two Disney films that I would consider really good, but I wouldn't really say they rank in my all-time favorites. Robin Hood, obviously, I've seen that a lot as a kid, and Tangled came out much more recently, and I liked it a lot. But for whatever reason, they just they don't. I wouldn't say they rank in my top 10, maybe top 20, but I would say they're good, not great for me.
All right, interesting.
I thought Tangled was a pretty fun movie, but Robin Hood is also something I kind of latch onto for nostalgia reasons. It's one of Disney's early creative movies. It's their first furry movie with anthro animals acting like people. It's something that's been surprisingly underexplored in Disney with only a few movies, including 2 more that we'll get to today.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting observation.
Yeah, but this was their first, and it sort of stands out because it's their first.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if this was one of the movies to help kickstart that community, but with the whole thing that, dude, Robin Hood is so hot.
Oh, wait,
like,
no,
it's a fun.
Mouse Detective 2, so 4 anthro movies.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting to think to sit down and like rewatch these movies, and look over them, between the the nostalgia factor that we would have, like growing up watching it, and then comparing it to the more recent ones now. I know for me it was a tough choice between Tangled and Robin Hood, but I think for me, nostalgia kind of won out on
Same.
Robin Hood. I mean, that's one of the classics, and there's always one of the classic bedtime stories everybody's told when they're growing up and all that. So we're kind of immersed in it. So I think I was a little bit biased in that vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Robin Hood kind of gets its characterization down pat too. Tangled was fun and all, but Robin Hood was able to just have intention. It's infinitely quotable, and it's got a good soundtrack. I gotta look up who played Alan Gale because he was actually a pretty serious country singer. Alan Gale's the rooster, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He
That
played
guy.
the lute.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed when watching this movie was that this is where the hamster dance song comes from.
I tried
Yes.
to tell you.
Yes.
The hamster dance? Oh,
Yeah.
Roger Miller. That's his name. That's the name of the country singer who plays the rooster. Roger Miller.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I had no idea that's where the hamster thing came from, and I've seen this movie many times.
Yeah, and also the reason it's Andrew is because this is Robin Hood meets Chanticleer. Chanticleer is a satirical tale about the rooster who wouldn't crow.
isn't that what Rockadoodle was about?
Yep, and it was Don Bluth who worked on this movie, taking that way.
Wow. All right, so yeah, I did really enjoy Robin Hood. Just the thought of that little rabbit child yelling "Death to tyrants!" Yeah,
That's our state motto.
really.
What is he saying?
For Tyrannus.
What did the child say?
Death to
Death to
tyrants.
tyrant, which is a basic translation of the state motto of Virginia.
That's awesome. The
Should probably watch
Like,
this
the,
movie again.
like
I'm forgetting a lot of things.
the brawl scene at the archery tournament, where it just turned into this big football style match. That was great. Mother Cluck
absolutely.
Mother Cluck is amazing.
Right?
Yeah,
This-
So this has a lot of the slapstick.
Yeah, the all out brawls that just happen in older Disney movies are just are always so hilarious, because you always know there's always going to be one coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked Robin Hood, but I gotta be honest. Tangled, Carrick, you said this probably wouldn't be in your top 10. It would be in my top 10 for me.
I might put him in top 15 or 20.
Yeah, for me, it's currently battling for top 5. Honestly, this is on par with Little Mermaid for me.
That's quite a claim.
I know. And thankfully, there are no horrible takes surrounding this one, so I don't have to be as staunch about that. I can say
Right,
this movie's great, and I don't have to worry about defending myself.
Yeah, I did like this one. The music is nice. The characters are nice. It's arguably one of Disney's 2 Prince movies, because Flynn Rider narrator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's this and Aladdin, which we'll talk about later, which are
Yeah.
Disney's Prince movies.
Yeah.
Does that thing at the beginning where they're like,
Also, Rapunzel is a princess. Boys don't have to feel
not really.
thing because she's fun and free spirited.
I love Mother Gothel as a villain.
Oh yeah,
Just how
Yeah.
how cunning and manipulative she is, and just how gaslighting she is to Rapunzel at every opportunity.
Oh,
I really like
absolutely.
that.
She is diabolical in every
They have
sense.
like complete mental control over the character.
And her song "Mother Knows Best." The first song that reminds me of is "Master of the House" from Les Mis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of even has those same
rhythm.
inflections.
Do, 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 do.
I need to see Les Mis at some point.
Oh my god.
How
Don't
would I
see the
watch
movie.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would I watch it?
Oh god, that's.
Um,
I actually managed to see that play on or off Broadway when they were touring around my town, and oh my god.
oh yeah.
Again, that is hands down one of my favorite plays I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but instead I watched the other Victor Hugo adaptation with Hunchback.
That's
Ooh.
next week.
That is next week.
girl.
Yeah, so
I will
think the
say,
only-
Tangled is probably one of the funniest Disney movies that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
The one part where they have the musical number in the tavern, and all like the criminals turn out to be like really cool guys is a lot of fun. And then they ask Flynn, "Hey, what's your dream?" And Flynn's like, "Oh no, guys, I don't sing." And then like they threaten him, and it does a Gilligan cut to him singing.
I love that.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very good editing.
the other
Yeah.
scene that had me rolling was Rapunzel's mood swings after leaving the towel.
The one that got me.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Amazing! I am a despicable human being.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that had me
A lot of people will react once the
with
stay-at-home order is lifted.
plagues. Mood.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoy Maximus and Pascal. They're two very
Yes.
lovable animal characters. In a,
They
Yeah.
don't even
and-
get lying, but just the way they're
animal
expressive.
sidekicks.
Yeah, and they both have it out for Flynn in one way or another, which just adds to the comedic factor of it.
Yeah. And I love how by the end, they're using actual frying pans in place of swords.
It's a very surprisingly effective weapon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like never
those
underestimate the
things
past. Yeah, never underestimate the power of a cast iron skillet. Okay, I mean that thing is both sword and shield.
Over the head. That's pretty good.
Alone at last.
Classic.
Even though we kind of gone away from hand-drawn recently, I will say that this style of animation still does a great job of remaining cartoony with the slapstick aspect of it.
Yeah, 2.5
Oh,
D animation, if you will.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It definitely looks. Or they're definitely still doing their best to keep to the slapstick effects within it, and still do their best to make it to give it that same appeal that older animation had for everybody, especially the younger crowd that everything's being intended for, because it always
strikes a
been
good balance.
exactly because it gives something for everybody to enjoy.
Right. So yeah, I love Tangled. It's a strong contender for my favorite Disney princess movie. Depends on if I count Mulan as a Disney princess movie.
I don't.
Yeah, the
I don't know
marketing
why
says
Mulan
so.
is considered a Disney
She's in
princess.
she's in the
'cause
princess lineup, like maybe in spirit and attitude, but
I mean,
feel like it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could say, as much as, Princess Leia, I mean, yeah, I guess we could say she's a princess, but I'm sure she'd rather be called the general.
Actually, there's a very good reason why she's not included, because she's live action that goes into royalties for Carrie Fisher's estate.
True, yeah.
and then because if you do try to animate Carrie Fisher, you get some weird, unholy amalgamation homunculus, like in the ending of Rogue One.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And never again. Never forget.
Forget
Right.
what?
The face.
Rest in peace, though, Carrie Fisher. We'll
Yeah.
miss you.
Mhm. Rest in peace, Space Mom.
Aw.
All right, so I want to get to the tallies for this matchup.
Yeah, I think we should.
Mhm.
All right.
I think probably a recency factor might have an effect here, but we'll see.
All right. Tangled, 12 votes. Robin Hood, 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
Tangled is
much closer to that.
Tangled is a lot more popular than we might realize, or maybe
Now
people
my
just
brain
don't
is
appreciate
busted.
the magic that is Robin Hood.
I thought there would be like maybe a 3 vote difference, but I wasn't expecting that much of a landslide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very surprising.
yeah. I know Wesley was one of the votes for this.
Yeah, I
For
look
Robin Hood.
every time.
I'll admit I was the other vote for Robin Hood. That
Oh,
nostalgia
Oh,
factor.
Yeah.
if without you, it would have been even worse.
All right, so
Got to be the holdout.
So this is
Purely
yet
going
another.
off the
This is yet another round 1 prediction that I got right.
I did not
Only done one wrong.
had enough of a following,
Yeah.
so this is my first one wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, the only one I've got wrong so far is Rescuers versus Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah.
So I'm 15
Again,
for 16.
But hey, again, it's just
everyone to have
possible to have a perfect bracket. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get on to our next matchup: Zootopia versus Atlantis.
Zootopia is getting better for me upon rewatch. I know not to get political here, but I have questions about it, but they kind of missed the message of the movie. And the message is really anyone can do anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like he conveys that well. Plus, the world is so unique. I love the joke where Judy's huge in the village of like the shrews and stuff.
Yeah.
Even though
He like traps with a giant donut.
Yep, and it's just such a vibrant, colorful
The
world. I
DMV
love it.
scene has me rolling
Oh
every single
God.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Also,
the DMV.
fun fact: this lifted the curse of Idris Elba in a way.
Oh yeah, he's Chief Bogo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bite buffalo. But since it won Best Animated Feature, Idris Elba can say he's been in an Oscar-winning production.
All right.
He's never been in one before this.
No, Beast of No Nation, he got snubbed, and American Gangster, he got snubbed.
Yeah.
Other ones, big time, but there was some sort of like curse around him where he'd never get a nomination for an Oscar. But Zootopia, that won an Oscar, so good job.
It was-
Well deserved, I must say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
kinda
do
like
the
the,
line he gets where life's not like some musical where you could sing all your problems away.
Yes.
So let it go.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
one of 2 Frozen references. The other being Duke Weaselton.
yes. Yes. And they were both played by the same guy too,
Alan
which makes it
Tudyk,
even
who I
better.
will always
Yes.
know is Wash from Firefly.
Yes,
I think it's
absolutely.
I love
the Where's Waldo of Disney movies these days because he's in every Disney
Mhm.
movie
Like
currently.
the John Ratzenberger of Disney.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely. I think that was one of the things I always enjoy most about, especially about Zootopia, was all of the subtle hints and references they make to other existing movies.
like the
Like,
scene where
it's
he's
all
selling
over.
the bootleg Disney movies.
Yes.
Including Gigantic.
I will say,
Oh,
yeah, that makes me depressed now because Gigantic got canceled.
that's a
But
shame.
the joke still works
Yeah.
because it's like he's selling a rare print.
Yes.
This
Weaselton.
is the only version that
I'm-
actually exists, and that makes me so sad that it's a giraffe version.
Yeah.
Giraffic.
Yeah. I like the Gilligan cut they did involving him. Where like, I ain't talking, and there's nothing you can do to make me.
Yeah.
Ice him.
I also like the scene where Judy's just flipping on her radio and it's all depressing songs.
Yes.
A
I'm
lot
a
of
loser.
definitely one of the
Everybody heard.
something that Rafa and I, I'm sure we can appreciate is that there is a good handful of professional voice actors used in this film, like Maurice LaMarche
Yeah.
as Mr. Big and John DiMaggio as the elephant that owned that ice cream store, and also
Yeah.
which is always really nice to see, especially since they have some of the funniest scenes.
Yeah. I like the
Yeah.
I like the voice acting in general, particularly from Jason Bateman as Nick
Yeah.
Wilde.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
That's
all the
perfect
improvisers.
cast. That was perfect
Sold in
casting.
Redwood. Like there was a space between red and wood.
Yes.
Yes.
There are just so many brilliant bits of dialogue in that movie.
Yeah.
It's just
It's almost,
you gotta
it
appreciate
doesn't matter
it.
how
Yeah, even big drama and big story aside,
outright
this is just
something
a
is.
funny movie.
Absolutely.
If you
Too
can't
bad
have
the
an actor
trailers
that
killed
delivers
the sloth
it
joke.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, the trailers did kill the sloth joke. Oh my
It
god.
was funny in context, but man, did they overplay it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even
was-
so, I still think that's the funniest scene in the movie.
Absolutely, and it's hands down the most accurate representation of the DMV I've
Of
ever
course.
seen in any
No,
form of
it's
film
not, because
ever.
they're not nice sloths at the DMV. They're angry, crazy sloths.
Okay, so maybe it would be like the scene from Megas XLR then.
Yeah.
That scene was saved by the ending where they pulled over Flash, like speeding in his car.
Yes.
Like it all came full circle right there.
hmm
Yep.
Flash, 100-yard dash.
Yep.
Nick. I think
What do you
also
what do you
the-
call a three-humped camel?
female part.
Pregnant.
Ah, ah, ah.
And then also the female sloth in that DMV was voiced by Kristen Bell.
Oh
A
yeah.
neat little cameo.
Ah.
We have to beat the rush hour. It's night. Yeah, yeah. And one more thing I want to touch upon, regarding like the film's commentary, especially how it relates to today, like regarding like the treatment of and by police officers these days. I won't get too much into that, but I will say Judy is a good representation of what a good cop should be.
Yeah.
Genuinely cares about justice, genuinely cares about the people she's serving, and takes account for her own mistakes and genuinely tries to fix them.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
liked about the
absolutely.
movie is how they handled the third act misunderstanding, because Judy does screw up and she does have to face the consequences, so it's on her. It's not one of those contrivances where it's really forced. She really does have to own up to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like how
Absolutely.
this movie, like there's a bully at the beginning, but then it shows him as an adult, like grown up and matured, and they have that reconciliation scene where he's like, yeah, sorry, I was a jerk back then. Like,
Yeah.
like that was one of the most like real and human moments of
Yeah.
any Disney movie I've
Like,
seen.
it sounds like the
Mhm.
kind of thing that, a therapist might tell someone to say in an apology. So it does play to the fact that he does genuinely feel bad and wanted to get better for his behavior.
Mhm.
So,
And he wouldn't have been there in the first place working with her parents if she hadn't made them more open to working with predators.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a fantastic point that the movie really
Yeah.
touches on.
Yeah,
I mean,
so we got-
the overall message of Zootopia, it's a fantastic message.
Yeah, we've got a funny movie with a good message to appeal to all sides of the aisle, and it's just
Yeah.
a great animated movie.
Yep, it's,
So-
There's one downside, though. I think most of us can agree on that the villain is pretty weak.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot
I
she
can
was
kind
of-
even
God,
in the
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I forgot she was even in the movie the first time.
Yes.
Taking reviews for the last 10 minutes of the runtime is not a good choice, and like no matter what.
Honestly, I
Zelda does it all the time.
I can kind of
Suck.
overlook that because given the themes and messages of the movie, I figure it doesn't matter too much who's actually targeting the predators.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's more about the protagonists and
Yeah.
their journey and overcoming their biases. So
Yeah.
the weaknesses
Yeah,
of the
also
villain
I
don't
can-
stand out to me as much.
Yeah, also,
Yeah, it's
also
definitely
that's
more of
probably
a,
why they cast Shakira as a gazelle when instead of the much more obvious she-wolf.
yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right. It is this one is one of those movies where it's good that it's purely driven by the protagonist's perspective
Right.
rather than, showing flashes of what the antagonist is doing, because like it lends more to it, and like you'd said, it shows the growth of the protagonists a lot better.
Yeah,
That's something that I think is very interesting about Disney movies, like as a whole. Like early Disney movies, like they're remembered more for their villains, but then like in the middle, in the Renaissance, they're remembered for their heroes and villains. And now, currently, it's more focused on the protagonists. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a revolution.
yeah.
and I think I think there's a trend I've been noticing actually fairly recently with a lot of Disney villains. You can almost in more recent movies. I mean, you can almost just sit down and just point at the screen and go, okay, that one's going to be the bad guy, and it's going to be a plot twist.
Yeah.
Like in Coco with De La Cruz or Hans in Frozen. You know, it's
Or even
it's that
Professor
it's that
Callahan in Big Hero 6.
yeah, exactly. You know, it's all of these, plot twists and like the first movie, okay, yeah, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that, but then now we're like, 3-4 movies
Yeah.
in with the same villain plot twist.
Now subverting the expectation is the expectation.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna sit down
Honestly,
and
I feel like
okay.
some of these could work if there was like a mystery that the characters would solve with the audience,
Yeah.
where they leave
Yeah.
It's ironic how
foreshadowing.
are one of the best twist villains, in my opinion, over Disney. Like with Monsters Inc. and Water News, and
Yes.
also Toy Story 2 with
Stinky
Yeah.
Pete.
Like those are way better twist villains than
Yeah.
what Disney's
yeah.
doing recently.
Right.
Oh
What
yeah,
are you gonna
absolutely.
do?
Because like,
So, yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, Zootopia, this is the second film I've given an S rating. First being Mulan, of course.
What does S stand
Right.
for?
It's
It's
in
just
Japanese,
it's the
it's
highest
the grade
grade in
higher than
Japanese
A.
rating.
Supreme.
Yeah, I only recognize it from all those anime tier lists that I've seen.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And if I were to compare this movie to Mulan, I would have to say that I definitely prefer this one. Like, by a pretty wide margin, but it's like the bar for S quality, like, I compare that to, like a pole vault bar, and S quality would be Olympic standard. You get over that, you automatically qualify for the Olympics. And Mulan would, like, just get over that bar, maybe graze it with a body part, whereas Zootopia would clear it by a good 8 inches.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, you can't like Zootopia. It's too preachy.
Those people don't know what they're talking about.
It's an obvious message, but it's an obvious message that we need. And if that's distracting for you, then I don't know what to tell you.
At least it's a good message.
Exactly.
It's an inside joke. It's an inside joke from DeviantArt.
Yeah.
It's not a gossip column, but
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, Atlantis, the Lost Empire, never stood a chance.
yeah, it's a bummer. That's Atlantis is another one of those like grievously underappreciated Disney movies, Disney classics almost. Oh,
Yeah.
not classic, but
Disney's first steampunk movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the
That's
obvious,
not a-
like the obvious comparison point for me is Treasure Planet.
Yes.
I feel like Treasure Planet did what Atlantis tried to do a whole lot better.
I can agree
with
with
Atlantis,
that, but I do-
because Atlantis, I feel it's an all right movie. I'm not as
Yeah.
into that as I was with Treasure Planet.
Yeah, that being said, as I was watching Atlantis, like the one thought going through my head was, I'm so frustrated how much I like this movie and know that it's still not as good as Zootopia.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
Right.
kind of like Rescuers Down Under in week 2, going up against Mulan.
Right.
Yeah, but Atlantis still has a creative idea and some pretty interesting world building.
And yeah.
Atlantis, the myth, was created by Plato, who outlined pretty clearly what Atlantis was supposed to be. A lot of conspiracy theorists have tried to capture the idea, but Plato pretty clearly spells it out. And this sort of goes off of the Platonic concept. There's the Minoan eruption, there's the technology advancements, they even get the lineage of the kings right.
Mhm.
What really makes this movie for me is the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really like that one scene where they're all just hanging out in the tents and they're all just talking about their backstories. I really like scenes like that where we know these characters more.
Maybe
Yeah, absolutely.
It would work better as a serial production if they make like a Gargoyles or a DuckTales out of this.
I really wish this was a show and not a movie because I wanted to spend more time getting to know these characters.
Enter Atlantis 2.
Oh,
No, never mind.
That was meant to be. That was meant to be the pilot episode for the TV show. We all know how. We all remember how that was received.
Yeah. If they just waited to release this movie like 5 years, it could have had an audience.
Absolutely,
and
because the massive
time Shrek didn't help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will say though, like honestly, Atlantis is another one of those movies that has some of the best bits of dialogue that like anybody and everybody can appreciate. You know, like when they're talking about like loading up the truck and they're like, "Okay, Cookie, you got everything." It's like, "I got your 3 basic food groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard." And it's like, "Oh my god, this is fantastic!" And he's like he's practically hissing at the cabbage. Yeah. I mean, it's so cool.
Like the scene where Milo was talking about how great an adventure this was going to be, unless you guys are just in it for the money. Yeah, money.
The money.
At least they're up front about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like how at the end they don't do that thing where it's like they've learned their lesson. They're not in it for the money anymore. They did it for heroics. Like, no, they still took the money.
They along the way.
They're still walking away with a hole full of gold in that flying narwhal thing.
Learned our lesson, but we still want to get.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I can respect.
Like
that
I'm not in this for the money, but I'll gladly take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it if it's offered.
I think my favorite thing at the end is like at the end of the movies when they're all sitting there and they're like in these nice fancy 3-piece suits or like in like these really nice gowns or something like that, and then they all got that crystal in some different part. Like it's I just love watching that.
Yeah.
They're discussing like what really happened.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're all trying to keep Cookie's mouth shut because he's the one who keeps on like giving all the grievous details of what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
What's Mole's backstory? You don't want to know. I was told what it is, and I'm telling you right now, you don't want to know.
Audrey, don't tell him. You told me, and I didn't want you to tell me.
Right. And Kida also is probably the most glaring omission. She's the notable Disney princess who isn't because her movie bombed.
Aw.
That's
Much like Black Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
that's another underappreciated
she's voiced by
one.
Cree Summer, and that's
Number 5.
Yeah. Although
I love her work.
Right after Candy. But anyway, the criterion of Disney princess are: you must be human or look human, like Ariel. You must be in a Disney animated film that's not a sequel. You must be born by blood, marry a royal family, or show exceptional heroism. I call that the Mulan clause. And your film must be a hit.
The Mulan clause.
You can't.
Yeah.
To be fair with Black Cauldron, even if that film was a hit, I'm not entirely convinced that that girl was actually a princess because she really just claims to be a princess, but nothing really about her screams princess.
The Horn King calls her a scullery maid.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a princess. That's right, a princess.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kida has
Sure, Jan.
credentials, and she's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish there were more scenes with her because as a voice actor, I have a teeny tiny crush on Cree Summer.
Yeah. As she's a voice actress, I'll watch anything. I'll watch her in anything.
Yeah, I really love her work.
Yeah.
And
Clifford
also
is one of my favorite shows almost because of her entirely.
Oh yeah.
Also, another interesting thing is that Kida is technically one of those few Disney princesses who became a queen.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think only Elsa's the only other one to hold that that title.
Yeah, not
in the
even
evil
Ariel
queen
got there. Yeah.
Was that in the sequel?
Think
Hmm?
Yeah, Little
The-
Mermaid 2. Ariel's the only one to bear a child, but I don't think she became a queen.
No, I
Oh
don't
my god!
think she
I just
did.
thought of something. Dude, I just thought of like the craziest twist ever. So we all know that Ariel's like the youngest sister in The Little Mermaid, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when you're the youngest, you don't have much of a shot of like, ascending the throne. What if the only reason she got with Eric was like exactly the same plan as Hans? Where it's like, I knew I was the youngest and never would become the queen. So I knew if I married him,
Oh no.
like, holy shit, that wouldn't be so crazy.
So she really, so the plot twist is that she really just married into money. She married into the royal family.
Gold digger.
Can we not give
That
credence to
he-
that theory? Because that's already the bad take I was talking about with Little Mermaid.
Oh God, are you kidding me? That's an actual theory.
It
Oh,
pertains to the perceived shallowness of Ariel, is what I'm saying.
Oh my.
Right.
Oh,
Have a
okay.
lot of
Yeah.
Oh God.
surrounding
Look, I'll have more.
character and
I'll have more to say when we get to the round two
The next round.
matchups because Little Mermaid, for those who aren't caught up, did win its matchup. By-
I would hate to perpetuate the.
Yeah, by a unanimous vote. For the
Yeah,
record.
likewise.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
By the way, this vote, not like it's a surprise.
yeah. All right, let's get to it.
Oh
Right.
right, yeah, we have a television too.
All right. Zootopia, 10. Atlantis, 4.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
actually,
kind of that's all right.
yeah.
That sounds
Someone,
alright.
someone actually responded to one of my reposts of the straw polls saying, "Please vote for Atlantis. It deserves it." And I just said, "Doesn't really, but okay."
Lol.
Yeah,
I just would have left it alone.
yeah.
I mean, it's that beautiful nostalgia factor that is Atlantis.
Yeah. If you were born
There
after
are some battles
2001 and did not see
Some
Shrek,
battles are just not just fighting.
Yeah, so yeah.
You gotta know when to fold.
So there we go. Zootopia's in round 2. Who could have predicted? All right.
I had this in the final four, so yeah.
Yeah, I actually have it losing in the second round, but I'm starting to think that might be a bad idea.
Right.
Anyway, next matchup. The Great Mouse Detective versus the Aristocats.
Ooh.
This is one where it's like, if a few months ago, I probably would have voted for Aristocats because I had never seen Great Mouse Detective, and I probably would have been like, it's a Disney movie from like the dark era of Disney. It's probably not that good anyway. But then I did watch it, and I was like, this is the one that started the Renaissance. I don't know what people are talking about. Like, this is
Great Mouse
Kickstarter.
Detective's a little different because it was the first movie under Eisner and Katzenberg.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
it's
why.
technically on the borderline.
I don't know why the Renaissance period doesn't start with this movie. Like that's still.
And
it's
how
weird.
did they
I think
let
it's-
that
I think it might be
one
because
slip
Oliver
in
and
a
Company came
G-rated
right after.
movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this-
you know what? That kind of explains why it
movie
suddenly
has
got
a-
overshadowed.
Yeah. Okay. Professor Radigan, amazing villain. I love him.
Amazing
That's my
villain,
favorite
yes. He is a top tier villain. Like my favorite
Batman.
archetype of villain
Like,
ever.
So over the top, he's hilarious. His song is
Mhm.
brilliant.
When that drunken mouse called him a rat and he
Yes.
fed him to the cat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like
He's
when
Yeah, it freaked
honestly-
me out.
I like
It's a
when
good way of making.
like I like when Basil was saying, no one has a higher opinion of you than I, and I think that you're a slimy, contemptuous sewer rat.
Yes.
And then he just closes his pocket watch after like 2 seconds. That one subtle movement had me dying.
Right.
That is, yeah. He's absolutely one of my like favorite type of villain archetypes because he's always the one who's trying to keep his composure, but somebody will say something that throws him off, and he just snaps and then regains it almost immediately after, with the exception of the end.
Yeah,
and this is the first time also Disney uses CGI.
Oh yeah,
The cogs of Big Ben.
Yeah.
That's the point of the movie that we're all waiting for, where he finally just like lets loose and embraces his rat side and just goes all ham.
Yeah.
He's been refined to a point up till now, but just like full savage mode, and it was really exciting to watch, and especially taking place at a clock. Like, I mean, how many Disney films can say that they take place with a bunch of gears turning as their climax?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gears done by the folks who would later found Pixar.
I love like I like any cinematography that has to do with intricate clockwork, like Hugo.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like Basil too as a character.
Yeah, Basil.
He had the rendition of the Sherlock archetype, where it's like they're cold, like they seem like they're going on a tangent where like it makes no sense at first, but like it somehow comes full circle at the end.
Absolutely.
How many people were introduced to Sherlock Holmes through this movie? I know I was.
I'll admit I was.
They learned to be a little bit more open by the end. It's a good archetype.
Yeah. He's also a great protagonist.
Although every time I heard Basil of Baker Street, I was expecting Jerry Rafferty to come in.
Jerry, who's that?
Yeah. Right. Apparently, 221B is a real address on Baker Street. They have a secretary to answer fan mail.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, this one got some fun action. First time for Katzenberg, so you can see the seeds being sown for the Disney Renaissance. But you know the funny story about the Jeopardy category with this movie?
Really?
Yeah, because it was going to be called Basil of Baker Street like the books, but they changed it to Great Mouse Detective. But they thought it was a little bit on the nose. So they sent in a whole bunch of very specific titles. And then on Jeopardy, they just made them into a category. Like Cinderella was the girl with glass shoes.
Yeah, that soun's like something Alex would do.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jeopardy, I think it was a recent question too.
So, can someone explain to the Baker Street thing to me? I didn't get that.
Okay. There's a song called Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. It has a very notable saxophone riff. Yep. If you listen to it, you'll recognize it probably.
It was in Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Yeah, but also Baker Street is also the same street that Sherlock Holmes is on. His that's where his that's where his house and his office is. I think it is specifically 221B as well.
Yes. And at the front of the sign, and at the real 221B, they have a sign saying Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character. Don't see him, but go to the pub across the street for memorabilia.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Yeah. I think the idea that Cherry Tree Lane for Mary Poppins. I think that's a real place too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I like the idea that Basil lives underneath the house of Sherlock Holmes, and it kind of explains part of why he actually does.
Yes. Up to even the violin.
Right, exactly. Yes. And
Radigan would be Moriarty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about the Sherlock Holmes movies because we all know that Sherlock Holmes is a public domain character, and we've been drowning recently in terrible Sherlock Holmes content, like Holmes and Watson, Sherlock Gnomes, that kind of stuff.
Oh my god! So I'm not gonna lie though. I sat down and I watched Holmes and Watson, and I will admit it's not one of the best Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movies. I will admit it's not the best one, but there are some points in the dialogue where it's just absolutely hilarious.
Do you remember one example?
Yeah, my favorite one is when they were talking about is when they're talking about democracy versus the constitutional monarchy, which comparing the two comparing the American and the English forms of governing. It was just absolutely hilarious. They were making so many they were making so many comments on what's currently going on.
Yeah.
I was dying the whole time.
Yeah, I still can't believe Sherlock Gnomes is even a thing. Like, were they trying to make Gnomes the next big thing? Because there was Nomeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
One's a direct sequel. I kind of enjoy Nomeo and Julia as a guilty pleasure, but why tie that into Sherlock Holmes? That makes no sense.
Wait, they're sequel.
Sherlock Holmes
One's a
is standalone.
Mhm.
That's why.
Yeah,
And this is
all for the pun.
I've never seen Sherlock Gnomes, and but this is coming from somebody who despises Romeo and Juliet with a burning passion. So I know I wouldn't like it. So it's like, why even bother wasting my time?
And then, did those movies come out before or after Trolls?
Trolls came out
before.
Well, Romeo and Juliet was before.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet came out in 2011, and Sherlock Gnomes came out in 2018.
Yeah.
I feel like
I've heard that there's a lot of
I feel like with Trolls they were trying to kind of do the same thing they did, but except Trolls was an actual fad, and I'm not sure that Gnomes were.
No.
I mean, garden gnomes.
Yeah.
That the first one came out, I had an English teacher who was terrified of gnomes, so we used that to make fun of her.
Okay.
And one of the most notable villains, like monsters from the Goosebumps movie from 2015, were a bunch of lawn gnomes being attacked by them. It's like, I get it, they're kind of creepy, but just kick them, you'll be fine.
I mean, they're nowhere near as creepy as like the porcelain dolls. Those things are just a whole new level of creepy.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Great Mouse Detective. So we had the good one. Now let's tear into the Aristocats.
All right. So I know you've told me this before. This is your least favorite Disney movie, Wesley?
Yeah, just because it's got just nothing I could really report on. It's got the least to offer to the table. It's just not very good. Its construction is kind of weak. It's definitely the weakest Disney villain in Edgar.
Yeah.
It's just broken from composition wise.
I feel like this reminds me of 101 Dalmatians, but without any of the charm.
Right.
No,
this was the first movie made out after Disney died, although he did give it his blessing. But it feels kind of like chicken with its head chopped off. The means for the magic is gone, and they're trying to find their footing.
That boy running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Disney would regain their footing eventually, but this was kind of like not up there. Though rewatching it for this, there was one moment that kind of made me laugh. It's the climax when they're all fighting and the mouse is trying to hack the safe, so he just says, "Quiet!" And then everyone just stops. Like they understand him.
Yeah, the Winnie the Pooh mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's truly all we must do. That did get a laugh out of me. That's the one thing that kind of got my attention.
Yeah. I mean, they try to have another joke with him, like forgetting O'Malley's name. And when he's about to get eaten, he's like, "Oh, why did I ever trust that O'Malley?"
Yeah. Yeah, the general
president.
5 out of 10 joke.
Yeah, there was another movie much later called Millionaire Dogs, where these dogs are inheritors to an estate. That one was a little bit funnier, but I forget why they would lend cats the estate in this one.
Yeah, the whole.
See, here's the thing about this movie. I think probably Nick, you were about to get into it. It's just like the whole like conflict and motivation for the villain makes no sense at all.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. Like even if he was going to kill those cats to get the inheritance, why not wait until the old woman dies first?
Yeah, and he's
then
probably
he'd get the money right away. Or even then,
What
why
are
not
cats
just
even going to
inherit
do
the
with?
why didn't just inherit the cats?
It's like, yeah, if he owns the cats, then he's set for life.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. It's
And what cat going to go down to the bank like and deposit a check?
Or take out a life. No, or take out a
Yeah.
life insurance policy on those cats first.
Yeah,
I mean, if it was a more modern movie, you could probably make that whole. You could probably do it, because there's like a bunch of just crazy legal precedents. Like nowadays, people can actually give their estate to their to their pets. It's done. It's been done. It's been done multiple times, and it's difficult nowadays to counteract it and make it so that way the person caring for the animals is the one receiving the money. But like for a movie that takes place in that time period, which is like the late 19th, early 20th century, it's almost like, okay, well,
says-
1911. Okay, so yeah, so then yes, like back then I don't think it was anywhere near as clear cut or as difficult to do these days as it is these days. So it's like, yeah, he'd end up being like the executor of the state, but he'd still have access to the funds.
Right. I think one thing about this movie that for me keeps it from being bottom of the barrel is John O'Malley.
Right.
Thomas
It's
O'Malley,
one of
sorry.
3 Phil Harris
Yes.
Disney roles.
Yeah.
Phil Harris was in 3 Disney movies. This
Mhm.
one, Robin Hood, which we just discussed, and Jungle Book, which is up next week.
That's
And he pretty much played the same character in Jungle Book and in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, but I do like Thomas O'Malley. I like his like kind of suave demeanor, but he instantly gets on with Duchess and her children,
Right.
and he's actually understanding when Duchess turns down his proposal.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a quote-unquote nice guy.
But he's an actual nice guy,
Yes.
Ralph.
Yeah, he doesn't. he doesn't. He doesn't feel obligated to love. That's the whole idea of what makes somebody a nice guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes the villain from Megamind the quintessential nice guy. I can't really think of any other movies.
Tight.
I can't think of any other animated movies where the main villain is a nice guy.
Yeah, but
There
I mean, O'Malley is a genuine, like real deal, nice.
yeah, he's exactly.
I
He's
say person, but he's a cat.
He's a person.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's
he's definitely like that truly nice guy, that true nice guy archetype.
the kind of person you trust to leave your kids with,
Yeah.
I think gotten to the point where we should probably address the elephant in the room regarding this movie.
Oh
One
boy.
Oh boy.
in particular. I don't think there's really any point in prolonging it any further. Let's talk about Everybody Wants to Be a Cat musical number.
Yes, that did not age well. That's like Lady and the Tramp.
Old Disney films, they get a lot of flack for like racially or culturally insensitive depictions. And there's a range of merit as far as those criticisms go, but there is no excusing this one. Especially regarding the Chinese cat voiced by Tigger. Because not only does it interrupt the flow of the song, which means it could have been taken out completely and you'd lose nothing, but it's like he's playing in the style of Chopsticks with chopsticks and just saying a bunch of like words associated with China in broken English.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
My family and I watched this movie very recently, like together. And after we did, it ended up becoming a running joke among all of us, just saying all the gibberish words. And he goes, Shanghai, Hong Kong, egg foo young, fortune cookie always wrong. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But we all remember it because of how like baffled we were. Like, oh my god, this is real.
It's like, how did this get past the censors?
Yeah, just some casual racism.
Let's see.
And the thing- that's-
1972, like, no, it's 1970. This was like peak civil rights movement. There was no excuse.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, it's only like 10 seconds long, so you get through it quickly. But at the same time, it's like, why even put that in? What were they thinking?
Yes, it did nothing to add to the musical number whatsoever.
Yeah, the song itself's okay. It's not one of the best Disney's, but it's okay. I remember it from the sing-alongs.
I mean, it's a catchy song for sure.
I like how by the end of it, it gets to the point where the entire house gets brought down from
Yes.
how much
Yeah.
playing, and they're just like going off into the night, playing with their broken instruments.
That's how good. That's how good the song was supposed to be. It's supposed to bring the house down.
Right.
There's also one more moment I want to bring up about that song that I don't think anybody talks about enough. It's the part where Duchess starts playing the harp, and
Yeah.
I don't know where she says, "If you want to turn me on."
Oh,
Whoa! I missed that.
Like,
yeah.
He said that.
like, lady,
in
your
front of
kids
her
are right
kid.
there.
God. Oh God.
The cat, not even an anthropomorphic cat, just a normal cat that can talk and play the harp without thumbs.
I mean, there was a kind of a scene like that in Great Mouse Detective with the
Oh
brass-
yeah, the cabaret scene. Yes.
Yeah. Disney goes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The funny.
The less said about heroes, the better.
The funny thing now that I think about it, there can be so many Warhammer jokes in the Great Mouse Detective because of the rats and the mice. Throwing the Skaven. Yeah, Warhammer because there's the Skaven, which is basically an entire faction of rat people.
Oh,
Rat
okay.
people in D&D too, so
Yes.
All right.
I am the Rat King.
I want to get to the tally.
sure.
All right.
Please, for the love of God, do the voters.
Great Mouse Detective 12. Aristocats 2.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So kind of disappointed.
Rip off that Band-Aid.
can't say I'm surprised.
I'm not convinced that those two people haven't actually watched Great Mouse Detective.
Right.
Well,
Or they're just
you never
cat.
know. I'm assuming good faith on the part of the voters.
Yes, but for the first time ever, mouse beats cat.
Yes.
That's going to include Tom and Jerry.
Oh yeah, Tom and Jerry.
Oh yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so this is yet another prediction of mine that came true.
Same.
Yeah.
So
I haven't done any predictions.
I am
Just, kind of off.
I am 17 for 18 as far as predictions are concerned.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But things are probably going to get a lot more dicey as we go along.
Oh yeah, just looking
Oh
at
yeah. Thanks.
just looking at the round 2 matchups we have right now, I can tell things are going to get a lot more interesting.
They are stacked.
But before we get to those, we still have one more Class C round 1 matchup to get to. Aladdin versus Chicken Little.
Oh man,
Chicken
this one.
Little.
I feel like this one's no contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, Chicken Little is hated not necessarily for the quality of the film, but just for what it represents. It's like the death of 2D, the leaving of Michael Eisner, all the studio drama boiling up, and it just culminates into something that's just chaos. Financially, it didn't bomb. It did okay, but it is the worst reviewed Disney movie, I think. At least on
I
one.
I think Home on the Range is lower.
Yeah, but this was kind of just the low point for Disney, where their creativity was just sapped out, their motives were just gone, and they were just threw their hands in the air and said, "We don't care anymore." Disney, by the way, already has a perfectly fine adaptation of the Chicken Little story. It's a propaganda short from 1943.
Really?
And
I
so,
don't.
and so they just tried to do, hey, let's get the guy from Scrubs on the line. He'll be fine.
Oh my god! So like,
Every, everyone will think he's a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Look,
Kingdom
if
Hearts
you
2
look
wastes a
up-
summon space for him.
It's not like DuckTales where he sounds sort of like a kid, like he's voiced by an adult, but they still sound somewhat childlike.
Yeah.
You
mm,
know what I
But
mean?
why Kingdom Hearts 2? Why would you do this?
All I can say about Chicken Little is that the early drafts for Zootopia were very rough.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
I was
the other
actually
intro
I was
movie.
going into this hoping to like this more than I did because I know it has a lot of like off the wall humor, and I'm shamelessly a Family Guy watcher, so I thought this would appeal to him. I thought this would appeal to me, but sometimes it did. A lot of times though, I don't know. It just never landed for me.
Some of the background events, like the lemmings and just pulling out the string of bunnies, those kind of got a laugh
Yeah.
out of me.
They couldn't find a mountain to climb, so they jumped off the nearest park bench. Like,
Yeah, I feel like this was also an early attempt at 2.5D animation, where they tried to get the slapstick and squash and stretch from
mhm.
traditional 2D into the 3D environment. Sometimes it works, but a lot of times it just doesn't.
yeah.
The problem with this movie is that not only was the technology clearly not there yet, it just doesn't have a appealing color palette at all. It's a very ugly Disney movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's like I was never able to pinpoint why, but something about it always just kind of looked off to me because
Yeah.
obviously 3D movies had existed before this. You had Pixar, you had DreamWorks, and this one, I don't know if it was a style choice or if they just didn't know what they were didn't quite know what they were doing. I mean, obviously they had some idea. I don't want to give them that little credit, but just the way this movie looks and the way that it moves, it's off-putting in a way that I can't really describe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's I guess the animation is somewhat fitting. It's as ugly as the townspeople are ugly to each other.
Don Knotts as the turkey, though, and Patrick Stewart in a brief cameo. That as the Woolensworth guy. Those two were the highlights for me.
Wait, who was the first one?
Don Knotts.
The high school age. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed, yeah, that this is one of Don Knotts' last film credits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
Especially
noticed,
since
I also
Mom-
noticed Wally Shawn as the principal.
Yeah, it's like his
Yeah, I think
raw.
it's a movie cameo.
Yeah, I like
I don't know if they did that on purpose,
Yeah.
though, but I'm
Wally
good.
Shawn's another
I'll give
voice I
them
can always get into.
Yeah.
one of those ones where it's like, no, that guy. I like that guy. Keep going. And more stuff.
Didn't Chicken Little also come out at around the same time that the Jimmy Neutron movie came out?
No, it was like
No,
4
this
years
was like 4
later.
years later.
Oh, okay,
This came out
okay.
in 05.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then-
So then, oh god, why is the animation like almost at the same level as the Jimmy Neutron movie?
Again,
It's
just
very.
like tax write-off sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
So,
the movie was 2002. Oh my god.
So I somehow didn't put together that Joan Cusack was in this movie until now, and I don't know how, because she has such a distinct voice, and I can't believe I didn't realize it until now.
Ugly Duckling. When I saw this with my dad, he had an idea for a funny joke that, like, when Chicken Little kisses her, she turns into a swan.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
That
what if when she turned into a swan, Chicken Little was like, ew, I don't like you anymore.
Like does a reverse kiss and changes her back. Like,
Yep.
I like this.
That would have been funny. That would have been clever. But the movie just goes for the lowest common denominator. It just goes for the obvious jokes.
Yeah,
What would a reverse kiss be?
I don't know. A hickey.
Probably.
Seeing them? Um, I think probably one of the most egregious things this film does is it completely goes against the whole idea of Chicken Little as a story. Is that you're not supposed to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then this film completely justifies his overreaction at the very end.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it doesn't. Yeah, the entire idea of
an invasion movie, so there's more Jimmy Neutron parallels. But yeah, again, that's like the thing. Basically, everything this movie does was done way better in other movies.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like there are just some bits to it. I mean, even now I was just looking at the trailer, and it just looks. I don't even know how to describe it. It just looks not appealing as a movie.
Yeah,
I don't have a discussion.
Kept to the message. That was a cautionary tale.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things that's supposed to be the whole the cautionary tale, the fables and all of that, like the boy who cried wolf and all that, and it's just not.
And during World War II, it would have been pretty topical.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to have a discussion with Chicken Little, like the character. I want to be like, "Hey, is your mom dead?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "How'd she die?" And he'd be like,
"Soap opera disease,
sickness."
It's Disney. All their mothers are dead.
I don't even have a mom.
I think that Chicken Little might have actually gotten a little bit better reception if it was a TV show instead of a movie. If they tried throwing it.
Quality.
I mean, the animation quality was basically, oh god.
So
it's definitely. Huh?
I was just gonna say, my brother played baseball as a kid, and I will say this: even my parents would have been absolutely furious with him if he went against what the coaches told him to do. Like in the scene where he's told not to swing, but he swings anyway. It's like, what are you doing? Stop!
Reminds me of the time one of my friends hit a home run while being intentionally walked, though.
That's fun. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, we were playing softball in elementary school, and they were trying to walk him, but he just went like, nope.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that kind of gets me about this, and I've seen this in other movies and other shows, like as far as baseball is concerned, where it's like when it seems like Chicken Little was out, like everyone's in despair, like, oh no, we lost the game. No, you didn't. The game's tied. Go to extra innings.
Right.
I remember this one old episode of Wizards of Waverly Place, where Justin was coming in as a relief pitcher, and his dad was telling him, "Get this guy out, and we win. If you don't, we lose. No pressure. No, if you don't, you only lose if there's another guy on base and he hits a home run." Does no one understand the rules of baseball? It's like and the Loud House also does this, but with basketball, where you just see Lynn scoring on her own goal with a. That's not how basketball works. You score, other team gets it.
Yeah.
That's just a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I noticed, but there was also the audio drama where they act like they lose the game, but they're like, no, you got two runners through. Just because you're now doesn't mean those runs are a race.
But it's like I think it's like that it's the whole formulaic thing with every single sports movie ever. It's always going to be, the underdogs are always just slightly under in the last 10 seconds, and they're always going to, end up scoring big somehow.
Yeah. That's what I like about the movie Rudy, because in the final play, Notre Dame's already up by such a margin that they can't lose, but it's more a personal thing for Rudy to get that sack in his one appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
That reminds me, I met one of the original TC Titans because I live near that area, and someone asked if they really did run that final play like in Remember the Titans, and he said, oh, if they'd shown you that real final game, you would have been so bored. The score was like 35-0, and the other team had -5 yards total offense.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy doesn't attempt to doesn't attempt to, I guess,
Dramatize it.
dramatize it. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing they did dramatize was the players turning in their jerseys to the coach who was refusing to put Rudy in, like as a stand against him and for Rudy, because that never happened in real life. In real life, he was always on the roster, and the coach who was portrayed, like the real coach, said if his players pulled something like that, they'd be off the team in a heartbeat.
Right.
But as far as the actual game and play is concerned, Rudy got that right.
Right.
I should watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It was basically required viewing for me because I went to Notre Dame.
Right. Okay. So we've basically talked Chicken Little to death.
All
we
right.
can move on to Aladdin.
Aladdin.
But what more to say about Aladdin? It's just so fun.
I mean, what else? Yeah, it's Aladdin. I mean, everybody already knows that.
Yeah.
It's Disney's
What else is there to
first
say?
Prince movie. It plays with the formula without breaking it. It's got some great. It's got great villains. I say Iago and Jafar are like Disney's Abbott and Costello, just the way they found.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I mean, it's got it's got the beautiful talent that is Robin Williams doing his thing,
Right.
and probably like one of the best ways to ever have Robin Williams be in a movie which is animated.
Yeah, he'd been in
Robin
the
Williams
Opus movie
already-
Gully before, but it didn't feel natural. They just let Robin play himself in Aladdin, and it worked.
Yeah,
I mean-
absolutely. It's like animation was the ultimate form of media for Robin Williams to express himself.
Yeah.
The only way we were able to keep up with them was by giving him a character that was capable of pretty much anything.
Exactly.
And I guess I'm just a sucker for big band numbers, so that's why I always liked Friend Like Me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I might get crucified by anyone who hears this, but the genie was actually not the big selling point for me. I just thought he was kind of okay. I mean, as far as Williams' stand-up goes, like, however you feel about the genie is going to be however you feel about Robin Williams' stand-up. And for me, it got some laughs. A lot of times it was just kind of there. At one point, it actually did kind of start to annoy me, and I feel so bad saying that, but at the same time,
Robin actually, from what I can gather, improv'd most of his dialogue.
Oh yeah.
and I can tell. There was one line of his that stuck out to me that made me laugh. It was towards the end. He's like, Jafar, he's our guy. If he can't do it, great.
Yes.
I've said that before. I've done that before for
He's our man. He can't do it.
great.
It's funny, like looking through all the behind the scenes stuff and all the cut animatics that they just didn't have time to fully animate, and it's just Robin Williams going to town, and the Disney animators went over it. Like one part where like Aladdin tells Genie to be quiet, and Genie's like, okay, got it, and shows him like putting a bunch of like construction work over his mouth and like
Yes.
camera in. Like, I'm so sad that didn't make it into the final movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually like Aladdin.
Were you gonna
himself
say
as
something
a
next?
character.
Yeah, he is.
I like Aladdin as a character. Like, he's
not a
probably
jerk.
my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, he's not a jerk. He has the fun. And also, they don't play the misunderstanding with him, because when Aladdin reveals he was lying, Jasmine's like, oh, it's okay. I still like you. It's fine.
Yeah, liked him even more as the peasant as opposed to. Oh, I think Carrick disconnected.
I think we lost Carrick.
Oh.
There he is.
But anyway, that's what I liked about it. They didn't pull any BS. They didn't just mope around for 10 minutes. They were just like, it's fine. I wish more movies would try that, where it's like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, what did I miss?
It's okay.
We were talking about
We were
the.
talking about how Aladdin was able to handle its third act misunderstanding by not really playing it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
that's
think a
the
lot
thing
of
I love
movies.
about most Renaissance Disney movies, that they have pitch perfect pacing. Like, everything in the film feels like it's necessary and needs to be there. Like, I wouldn't cut a single minute out I wouldn't add anything in. The third act breakup is a good point there too. Like it spends as much time as it needs to on it and no more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
They spend as much time as they need to establishing Aladdin's character and his relationship to Abu and the town, establishing Jasmine's character motivation. And
Abu was a real trooper. He went through most of the movie as a female Asian elephant.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Female Asian elephants don't have tusks.
huh.
Never thought of that. It's kind of like how Otis from Back at the Barnyard has an udder. You don't think about it until somebody brings it up, and then like that's the only thing you can think of.
Yeah.
Right.
A Whole New World. Great song. For when I did Aladdin in middle school, it was my favorite Disney song.
Yeah.
And it's also the only
song to date to hit #1 in the U.S.
Yes, and it dethroned Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You," which at the
It
time
won
was the
Wow.
longest running
Year.
#1.
Yeah, it won Song of the Year.
Probably one of the greatest like romance musical numbers there is, and I think that's because
background events, like the guy knocking the Sphinx's nose off. That got laughed.
Yes, those little nods.
And the reason I think the song works so well is it's not because it's a romance song, but it doesn't like focus specifically on like the lovey-dovey aspect. It is about Aladdin being like, I can show you the world. I can give you things that you've been longing for, and we can do it together. And it's about them being able to explore the world and do it as a unit. And
what's
that's
funny
what
is
makes
this
it
was the
really
transition. And what's funny is this was the transition for the writer, because Howard Ashman worked on a lot of it, but Whole New World, this one was Rice. Tim Rice stepped in to write the lyrics, and pretty seamless. Like, it fits right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it went to #1, which none of the Elton John songs from Lion King managed to do.
Not even Let It Go, the juggernaut that it was.
Yeah, I think that one only made it to like #5, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy to think about.
yeah, but this one went to #1. It dethroned Whitney Houston before being replaced by Informer of all things.
It did it, and that's what matters.
That is what matters.
Yeah.
So that is certainly an accomplishment. I think I took a Sporkle quiz once where it was like ranking like the top whatever Disney songs by some website, and it had Whole New World at #1.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put it that far, but I can absolutely see why.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the most iconic Disney songs.
Right.
The Whole New World is a great song, but
At my school,
Sorry.
they played it for 8th grade day at my school, because I went to secondary school, middle and high school combined, but on 8th grade day, they just showed a slideshow of all the pictures from that year playing Whole New World. But original cast only for Whole New World. Like, the pop version's terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hate it whenever Disney films do that. The pop versions of like the best songs always can suck. Like How Far I'll Go from Moana, it's completely butchered in the pop version. I hate it.
Right, yeah, original cast only. Like, the two voices together just sell it.
Yeah. And just doing a lot of the pop versions of those songs just never hit the same level of just everything that's going on. It just doesn't hit the same level of emotion, attraction.
I recently heard a pop version of Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas. Which, whatever you think of that movie, that song's all right, but it just sounded like every '90s cheese song you can think of.
Yeah.
It's already from a pretty mediocre '90s movie,
True.
so that doesn't help matters. There's something else I wanted to bring up about When I rewatched this movie, there's a lot of jokes in this movie, as I'm sure one could gather. But some of the best ones actually don't come from Genie because he's only in 25% of the movie. He's in most of the marketing for it, which made Robin Williams really angry. But there are a lot. I forgot how many good jokes there are outside of the Genie scenes. There's one part where it's after Jasmine and the Emperor just got done with an argument. What's the Emperor's name? I forget.
He was just the Sultan.
The Sultan.
Yeah, he's just the Sultan.
I called him an Emperor for some reason. Yeah, so the Sultan and Jasmine, they just had an argument, and then the Sultan is sulking in his throne room, and he's like, I don't know why she's like this. Her mother wasn't nearly this picky.
Right. And also a potential suitor for Jasmine is Prince Ahmed. I don't know if that was throwing shade or not, but it was clever. If you don't know, Prince Ahmed is an animated film set to predate Snow White.
No, I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
It's shadow puppetry. It's the shadow puppet film.
Okay.
And it was made almost 10 years before Snow White. So Disney tries to hold their animated feature title, and they try to shoo it out. I thought that was kind of funny, even if it was unintentional.
Yeah, I think that might actually be a subtle nod. Yeah,
I like how in one scene Jafar was trying to hypnotize the Sultan into allowing him to marry Jasmine. He's like, "You will marry, but you're so old."
Yes. Yes, that one singular moment of lucidity while he's being hypnotized. It's easily one of the funniest moments in the movie, just because he's going along with every other suggestion, but when that comes up, he's like, "Wait a minute, something's not right here."
Carrick,
and then the way Aladdin uses reverse psychology to trick Jafar.
I think we lost Carrick again.
Yeah. No, he's here.
He's out.
But yeah, Aladdin just uses reverse psychology to trick Jafar. Jafar, one of the few Renaissance Disney villains to not die.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jafar. It's basically him and Radcliffe who survive.
Yeah. Radcliffe just went off to be a noble back in England.
Yep.
Well, Cruella de Vil also survived.
But we're talking Renaissance villains here.
Oh, Renaissance. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, but Jafar just gets imprisoned and he brings it on himself.
Yep. Yeah, he gets imprisoned and then he gets imprisoned in the lamp, and that's it for him until the second movie.
Yeah. Phenomenal cosmic power, itty bitty living space. So I will say for the Aladdin sequels, they're all right. They're both among the better Disney sequels.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
there
what
aren't
helped
too
is
many
that they
sequels.
were tied in with the TV show.
Yeah. Except King of Thieves, I don't think they ever really mentioned Aladdin's dad after.
Well, that was meant as the series finale. So.
Oh, okay. All right, that all makes sense. Hey.
So I'm on my phone now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were talking about the reverse psychology, and we're also going into the Aladdin sequels, which are all right because they're the pilot and the finale to the TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly those sequels were some of the best ones for Disney movies. Like, I don't even think any of the other major ones were as good as the Aladdin sequels were.
Lion King, maybe.
I've heard Cinderella 3 was really good.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty funny and self-aware. And also Lion King, but that kind of worked because it was sort of meant to be a multimedia franchise.
Yeah. But what I did like about the Lion King was honestly the Lion King sequels was Lion King 1.5. That one was priceless.
I've heard a lot of people with Lion King 1.5 either really love or really hate it, and it kind of depends on how high regard you hold the original.
Yeah, true.
I really like.
But anyway, let's get to the vote.
All right, let's do it. All right, Aladdin 14, Chicken Little 1.
What?
Ooh.
Who had the cast iron stones to vote for Chicken Little?
Ooh.
I don't know, but I'd like to meet that guy and just dig into his mind a little bit.
That guy is tough.
Like, whoa. You must really like Chicken Little.
Or just not care for Aladdin.
Or not care for Aladdin.
But yeah, that took some guts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I commend you for sticking to that vote.
Right, yeah, but I don't think we're surprised. We kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, pretty much all of these were no surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm
back.
What I am surprised, though, is that the closest one was Zootopia versus Atlantis. Because I feel like Zootopia is the best one, and it had the smallest margin of victory. I mean, it's still...
I guess Atlantis is just one of those cult classics.
Yeah,
that has a
I guess I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Atlantis is definitely one of those cult classics. I mean, I've always come across I've come across now and again some people who just will like absolutely adore that film because it is definitely one of the more underappreciated Disney films from a certain from like the period of time when it was made. I mean, you got that movie, you got Treasure Planet. I mean, those two were, came out in fairly close time period to each other, and they're just among the most underappreciated Disney movies as far
And
as
also,
it goes.
again, Atlantis was in direct competition with Shrek, so
Yes.
Probably didn't help matters much.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, Shrek was just Shrek was Shrek. You can't compete with Shrek.
Right. So now that I'm back, please, real quick recap of what I missed.
we talked about the Aladdin sequels, and that's about it.
And we...
Okay, can I? When was I cut out during my spot?
Right around the time we mentioned King of Thieves.
Well, when I was like saying something, but when did I get cut off?
I honestly don't remember, sorry.
I was saying a joke that I liked from it that had nothing to do with Genie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
You were talking about, you had said the Sultan saying her mother never
Sultan
had
was
this problem.
Yeah, I was saying, they were having an argument about her not wanting to, marry any of the people that have come by. And so, like, as he was sulking, he just said, like, her mother wasn't nearly this picky.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that until you said it again, but that's actually quite clever.
Right, but anyway,
So
Chicken Little got one vote, which was surprising, but Aladdin...
very angry about that, but what I would like to know, who had the balls? Who had the balls?
That's basically what I said.
That's a very brave person.
Yeah. Well, these votes are anonymous, so we'll never know.
Yeah.
You coward!
Not that it matters. Not that it matters too much. Their film didn't get through, so we won't have to talk about that. And well, with that, we have our entire round 2 matchups for Class C. So just as a quick recap, from Week 5, we've got Pinocchio, the 1 seed, which got a bye, versus The Rescuers, the 8 seed. Can't say I'm a big fan of either of these movies.
Yeah, same here. But I think I'll have a little bit of trouble deciding which one I'll pick.
I might vote. I'll probably vote. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll probably stick up for Pinocchio, but I'm kind of an old schooler Disney fan who can try to shed some light on it.
Yeah, I'd probably put my vote for Rescuers, but I am expecting Pinocchio to win, just because of...
By all means, Wes.
Sorry? Didn't catch that.
Sorry. By all means, Wes. When I lay my grievances with Pinocchio, I would love for you to change my mind.
No, yeah, seriously, I can be good cop for this one.
You don't like Pinocchio?
Yeah, I do like Pinocchio. I'm the good cop here.
Not you, Carrick.
I have problems with it. Is my thing.
It's fair enough.
Okay, I'd love
Well-
to hear these problems.
Well, we'll have to wait until we get
But
until we get there.
I'll save it for next time.
All right.
Right.
Then we've got the 12 seed, the second 12 seed to win, Fantasia 2000, going up against the 4 seed, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
I know what I'm voting for, and it is entirely based on nostalgia. Winnie the Pooh.
Can't
gets
go
my
wrong
vote.
with Pooh.
Nostalgia it reigns supreme.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's gonna be a
I mean, I
tough one
like-
for me.
I mean, I feel a little bad because I love some of the segments in Fantasia 2000.
Yeah,
Like,
Also, both
if it were only
Fantasias-
those segments, that it might actually be a little tougher.
That's the
Both
problem.
Fantasia's advanced, but one was by default. So yeah.
That's the problem with package films in general. Is that you're always going to have like a hit or miss aspect to it, and it's hard to be the kind of film that never misses.
Right.
Right.
I feel like Melody Time kind of hit that balance, though.
Yeah.
I guess they never miss, huh?
Yeah, you see, that one at least had an MC. That was sort of like the guidance.
yeah, true.
Well, then,
I do like the host aspect of it.
well, the next round 2 matchup in Class C, we're getting to the winners of this week. First, we've got Tangled versus Zootopia, and that is going to be such a close matchup.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I might need to rewatch both of those films.
By all means, rewatch them. They're great.
I think if I were to put money, I would feel comfortable wagering that Zootopia might take it.
Yeah. Zootopia, that's one that I think has a lot of the broad appeal, and it's topical, and it's recent. So
Yeah, like I feel like when I was going through my predictions, I had Tangled winning this, just because I know that there are people who do have problems with Zootopia, and even just looking at these votes, Tangled won its bracket by a wider margin than Zootopia did. So I do think it's going to be close. I honestly believe it could
It
go
sounds like
either
Robin
way.
Hood's a bad movie
Which,
too.
if Zootopia does win, I'll be very happy because it's the one I'd pick, but I'll be very sad because Tangled is one of my final 4 picks. And then we've got Great Mouse Detective versus Aladdin.
Ooh,
Man, well, it had to happen eventually.
yeah. Unfortunately, I might have to throw my money on Aladdin for that one. Winning the vote.
I do have Aladdin winning this one. I don't know which one I'd vote for, though, because I honestly like these movies about the same for different reasons, but the overall quality kind of evens out for me.
Yeah,
The problem for me is that Aladdin is in my top 5 favorite Disney movies.
yeah.
By all means, vote with your heart, vote with your biases.
that's the whole point.
That's how voting
It's a
works.
poll. That's the whole point. It's a poll.
All right.
hmm
So yeah, that's Class C, the round 2 matchups. So before we sign off, we'll do a quick preview for Week 7. We're getting into the final class. Round 1 is coming to its close. We've got a couple more weeks, and it starts off with these films. First, we've got the 1 seed Lion King getting an automatic bye, because all the 1 seeds get buys, because they're less than
No 60
they're
seats
less
here.
than 60 teams.
Right?
Then we've got the 8 seed Hunchback of Notre Dame against the 9 seed The Jungle Book.
Ooh.
That's a toughie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've already seen Hunchback, and I'll probably watch Jungle Book tomorrow.
Yeah, you can watch Jungle Book, and that's one of the ones where I think remake and original are actually about on the same level
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah?
for different reasons.
I personally think the remake does quite a bit to improve.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's
It's one of the
closer
very
to the
few.
tone of the novel.
hmm
It's one of the very few films that can do that in my eyes, like
Yeah,
among the
mhm.
Disney live action remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a lot of the themes and and ideas from the original, but with the tone of Kipling.
All right. Moving on, we've got our 5 seed Peter Pan against the 12 seed Meet the Robinsons.
Ooh, yeah.
I feel like
Meet the Robinsons.
I feel like Peter Pan is a movie that gets talked about, but I don't know. Compared to films around the time like Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland, I don't know if it's as beloved as those other ones.
And also be aware of some casual racism again.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Thanks, Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally, we've got our 4 seed Tarzan, the entire reason I bought Disney Plus in the first place, for the record, against the 13 seed The Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
I wonder which one's going to win.
Black Cauldron
I might
is
put
potential the movie, but I'll get more to that later.
I might put money on. I would wager that that Tarzan would win it because
Yeah,
I feel like
I
more
do
people
think
have
so.
seen Tarzan.
I
than-
do
Tarzan
think
is
so.
one of the first movies I
Yeah.
remember seeing in theaters. So yeah.
It's like
Even
I know.
Tarzan will probably win, even with funny monkey Rosie O'Donnell. I feel something happening.
Awesome.
Like honestly, like I feel like Tarzan was more widely watched than the Black Cauldron, and I mean the Black Cauldron was another one of those underappreciated Disney movies.
Right, but it's kind of like wasted potential because it's just a hollow husk. It's based on a series of books called The Chronicles of Prydain. Black Cauldron was nominated for a Newbery Award, and the last one in the series, The Grey King, won said award, which is unheard of for fantasy books. Just
Really?
unheard of.
Well, we can leave that discussion for next week because I have not seen Black Cauldron.
Yeah. Don't get your hopes up.
I promise I won't. Hopefully I'll be surprised, but having already seen and graded Tarzan, I already know what my pick's going to be.
Right.
But we'll see how close it is.
Yep.
And Tarzan is one of those movies where, for you, that most people don't talk about as much, but it's a personal favorite for you.
Absolutely.
And I guess everybody has their own film that falls under that category. I guess for me, that's probably 101 Dalmatians. Not as many people talk about it being like their favorite, but it's one of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to Bambi.
That's definitely one of the good ones.
I'm probably going to bad cop Bambi, but that's one I kind of hold close regard.
Yeah.
Do you have one like that, Rafa, that you can think of?
Man, that's tough. I mean, there are so many Disney movies that I thoroughly enjoy, and I always have a hard time picking one that I love the most.
Specifically one that you really love that not as many people talk about.
No, I would probably say Treasure Planet. Honestly, that is that is a movie that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's oddly enough a movie that I can never watch in the original English dub. I can only ever watch it in the Spanish dub. That's mostly because I first watched the movie in Spanish, and so I just can't ever watch it in any other language after that.
Interesting.
So you're a subs guy.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
heard Coco's pretty good in Spanish, so
I gotta give Coco a try in Spanish. I gotta see how that is. I mean, that's another beautiful movie. That's also being one of the more recent movies. That